Welcome to Infinity Reviews. Oh no! Oh my god! No way! Oh, it's Sabretooth! Oh, look at these fights! Hey guys, what is up? I just got done watching Alien Romulus, the newest film in the Alien franchise. And, I have been someone who, I've been a fan of the Alien franchise and a small fan. I've gone in, knowing that these are very scary movies. I have actually never watched the original Alien movie. I've watched Aliens, and I've watched Prometheus and Covenant. That's about all my alien knowledge I know, because I know the first one is a beloved horror film, iconic horror film. The second one is more of an action horror movie. And then the third and fourth one, people just skip those. Those are not good. Just don't watch those. And then, of course, I watched Prometheus and Covenant because those were the newest additions to the universe. But then we're going into this, Alien Romulus. Not directed by Ridley Scott. He is producer on the film, and this is directed by Fede Alvarez, who has directed the Don't Breathe films, and of course he just did Evil Dead. So I was actually very excited to see Fede's take on Alien Romulus. I'm gonna give you my thoughts. I absolutely loved it. This movie will get you glued to your seat. I'll tell you that. Usually when I'm watching a movie, even when I was watching A Quiet Place, day one, that's a very scary movie. I was eating my popcorn. I'm like, okay, eating my popcorn, blah, blah. That movie is more jump scare. It didn't really feel, super, super scary after I kind of registered it in my mind. This movie is terrifying. Honestly, if you want to go watch a great horror movie, go watch this, because this, it also has those shades of nostalgia from the original Alien movies, because this does take place between the first Alien and the Aliens movie. It takes kind of in the movie. It's kind of like a separator between the two films. And, I, of course, do not know much about the Alien franchise. I like I said before, I know that they're very, very horrifying films. And, you guys saw my trailer reactions. I reacted to all 3 trailers for this. I was very, very scared just watching those trailers. Those trailers were horrifying. I'm like, I'm going to go see this movie. I gotta go see this movie because, I've heard so many great things about it. The fan reactions were great this past week for it. And, of course, I've heard, that the third act of this movie is utterly horrifying. And it's true. This movie is utterly horrifying, it's not the movie you're going to take little Timmy to. You're not taking little Timmy to this movie. No, this movie, I think, if I had never seen an Alien movie before, and I know nothing about it, this is a good entry point. And also, it would probably leave a scar on me, because this movie is terrifying. If that's to the face huggers, if that's to the xenomorphs showing up, if that's to the final threat showing up in the third act, there's going to be no spoilers in here. But I think the main story is, these, we follow, Cailee Spaeny's character, who's named Rain. If you don't know who that is, she was in the latest Civil War movie. And, she grew up on this mining colony planet, and she's trying to get off this planet to go to have a better life off another world. And then, we have the bad company, it's the Whaling Company. These guys have been the main villains, and, actually not the main villains, more of the company behind financing all these missions to get these alien creatures. And, that she goes back, she gets a call saying, oh, actually, you can't leave because we just exceeded your hours, so I have to stay here for 5 more years. And, she's like, okay, now I gotta leave this. She's like, okay, gotta find a way to get out of this. So she is contacted by some old friends saying, hey, there's this decommissioned, ship / space station up there where we can find parts, to get hibernation tubes, and for us to fall asleep so we can actually get off this planet. Okay, yeah, nothing seems wrong about that. If it was me, I'd be like, crash ship, nothing known about it. Maybe want to do a little bit more research on why it's crashed, but, hey, you got to accept the stakes somehow. And, she also is accompanied by this character named Andy. Andy, in trailers, I thought it was oh, this guy seems like a pretty good character. Kind of, the sidekick to Cailee Spaeny's Rain's character. But I found out in the movie that he's actually an android. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's androids in the Alien universe. And, they have the white blood and everything in there. developed by Wayland Industries, or the Wayland Company, whatever you want to call them. And, she treats him like his real brother. And, they go up there. They're like, okay, this is going to be an easy job. Well, it turns out it's not that easy because this particular ship named Romulus has been experimenting on the aliens. And now they have to all fight for their lives to escape this ship with their lives and also these special samples, which that's kind of going to spoiler territory, so I won't talk about that. And overall, this movie, is very much, I think, a love letter to those original two Alien movies. It has those horror elements in there that made the first Alien such a cult classic, but it also has some great action moments too. There's this whole action sequence, where Arain and Andy, they're kind of cornered. The aliens are coming after them. The xenomorphs are coming. And, she's like, oh, I'm going to turn off the artificial gravity. And it makes for a really cool action sequence where the aliens don't have anything to kind of, hold on to. So they're just floating there. And it gives her opportunity to shoot them with her gun. Which the gun is a really cool gun. It's a really cool pulse rifle. And she goes in, kills the aliens. And then there's a whole scene, because they really introduced the concept of the acid blood, how the aliens, leak acid. And, the whole thing is like, you shoot them in the air with the gravity on, the acid from these dead aliens has spilled all over the ship. And she has to find a way to maneuver around it. And it makes for a really, really cool sequence. Now, another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie is just the cinematography and the practical sets and the practical creatures they made. If you didn't know anything about the movie, you wouldn't have known that a lot of this was practical. The xenomorphs, there was CGI in the xenomorphs, but it was also practical. The facehuggers were practical. There's a really good difference. It was kind of felt like it was going back to classic Hollywood in a way where they actually had to make these things. They just couldn't say, oh, we'll go fix that in post. We'll do CGI to make that look better. And, there is some CGI moments. There is a CGI moment where the CGI doesn't look so great. But, this is a very much more small-budgeted Alien movie. And, I have to be quite honest, I prefer the practical over the CGI, Alien Covenant, that was a lot of CGI. I wasn't a fan of Alien Covenant. I thought it was a cool movie, I thought it was okay, but I never... The thing with Alien Covenant was I didn't really like the characters in there. I thought some of the characters were a bit annoying, a bit stupid. And, I thought the xenomorphs, it was fully CGI. Something felt really off about that, where it didn't really scare me. The way they showed the xenomorph in this movie, it's terrifying. Where I love that it went back to those horror elements. And of course, there's those Easter eggs in there, because this does take 20 years after the first movie. 20 years after the first Alien movie. And so it's, like I said, in between Alien 1 and Alien 2. And, just had some great moments, just some great moments. And I think the entire cast did a great job. And, a lot of people are like, oh, why are there such young actors in here, Why do y'all have young actors? I'm like, well, it kind of raises the stakes for the story a bit, I feel like this is also introducing the Alien franchise to a brand new generation, Cailee, a lot of these actors are unheard of, I never really heard of some of them. I think, Isabela Merced and Cailee Spaeny are the big names I knew going into the film. And so I think this is them trying to introduce a whole new generation to Alien, because the first movie came out in 1979. I think my parents were about 2 to 3 years old when that movie came out. And, I think they've been trying to get this franchise back out there. What they did with Prey, that movie kind of re-energized the Predator franchise. And in this, I think this is going to re-generate the Alien fans, the Alien franchise. And, I've seen a lot of hate on the web. I've seen a lot of hate. A lot of people, said some things they didn't like about the movie. I would much prefer this movie over Covenant. I love, the lore is all interesting stuff with the the engineers and all that. That was great. But sometimes you just got to tell a standard story, Most people are not going to go see, a movie like the Predator just because, I want to know more about the Predator. I want to know more about the race, Sometimes you just want to go and watch a human survival story, about, humans fighting against something that's kind of unbeatable to beat. And, that is what I loved about the film, is that it went back to its roots, and so it made me love it. And, of course, I'm someone who, he's not the best with horror. I'm going to be quite honest. Of course, I've played Resident Evil, but the Alien movies have always been something I've been always really scared to watch. But yeah, let's go. But I've talked about like my thoughts on the movie a bit. Let's go on and talk about some of the other characters. Of course, there was, I mentioned earlier, Isabela Merced, Kay, very, very, she didn't have a lot to do in the movie. The main stars in this were Cailee Spaeny and David Jonsson, who played Rain and Andy. And, I have to say, Isabela Merced, she killed it in her scenes. She was okay in her scenes, I thought she was okay, I thought there was a really horrific moment in the third act with her character. Was like, oh my god, oh. And it's one of the, in my opinion, one of the scariest scenes in the movie is that third act. Something happens that's like, oh my god, I'm so scared. But I do think the biggest standout in this film is David Jonsson, who plays Andy the android. Like I mentioned before, his performance as the android, I think the androids have always stuck out in the Alien franchise. But I really enjoyed the character android because I felt like in these Alien movies, they've always presented the androids as always the bad guys because, the android has to be bad, In this movie, I felt the android was a good guy, and you could relate to this android, There's a point where, like, all the humans kind of hate the android, some characters have some beef with the symphoids or the android characters. And, you go and, you kind of relate to this character, because like, we're going to leave him behind, because he can't be on this new planet because they don't allow androids. But, you see, him and Rain, who's played by Cailee Spaeny, have a super, super good relationship. I love their relationship. It's a brother-sister relationship. And I think it works really well for the film. And also, Cailee Spaeny is a badass, in my opinion, in this film. So then there's also Archie Renaux, who plays Tyler. He's kind of, the main leader on this mission. He's guiding, this team to go get the hibernation pods. And, he's like your typical, action hero in a way. He's like, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. He's talking to everyone on the comms. If you haven't seen him before, he was in that series Shadow and Bone. He played a significant role in that. I thought it was good. He was a character, like I kind of rooted for him a bit. I'm gonna be honest, I was rooting for him. And then, when something bad happens to him, I'm like, oh dang. But, the thing that happens to him, I'm like, damn man, you're not getting out of this. He was a really good character. And, of course, you have kind of like the minor characters, in my opinion. You have Bourne, who kind of says, like, there's something in the water. There's something in the water. That guy, that character was a prick. But, you always have that character in a movie where it's like, I love this character, but this guy, I can't wait to see him die. And then, you have a Navarro, who's kind of, you see in the trailer, she has the chest, the alien in her chest, who pops out, we kind of already knew what was going to happen to her. She's, like, very minor as well. And, since we're now getting to the end of this review, I think this movie is bloody fantastic. It's actually, I've rated this as one in my top 5 of favorite movies of the year, I think, at first, it's got to be Dune, and then Deadpool, and I think this comes in a close third as one of my favorite movies of the year, because Fede did such an interesting take on this movie, He made a great horror movie, but he also was able to honor the legacy of those Alien movies, Alien 1 and Alien 2 to be more exact. And that's what I really loved about it. And if I had to be honest, I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to take 1 point away because the CGI, there's some CGI that's kind of iffy. But what I loved about the movie is the sets. The sets were amazing. I love the practical effects going to it. The practical worked so well in this film. And I really loved, our main characters in this film, especially, Cailee Spaeny playing Rain and David Jonsson playing the android in the film, Andy. I think, you guys should definitely go check out this film. Definitely go check out this film. I think you're going to have a great experience. This is, in my opinion, you go to the movie theater to have an experience. This movie is an experience. It's a movie you'll stay glued to your seat because you don't know what's going to happen. You really don't know what's going to happen. But, guys, that's my review for Alien Romulus. Leave your comments down below. Like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.